What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And today opened up like it wanted to just start flying. Everything just started running out of the gate today, fooled a lot of people, and essentially smacked a right dab into a brick wall. And it was the most slowest, painful sell off today. Again, we didn't have the bond markets today. There's a lot of different things. OPEC, it could be option expiration this week. We do have FOMC minutes on Wednesday. So there's some things going on, even though I don't really think it's any of that. The volatility is ultimately, I think, just because of um, again, it could be option expiration. There's nothing that is really selling. I know there's China news that's coming out, but I don't think that's really affecting us too much now. Again, trying to play light and get through this little bit of, I think, the last remaining week of volatility. That's not saying it'll completely go away. But we do have earnings. We do have banks this week. We even have Domino's on Thursday, which leads to one of the positions I took today. Essentially, trying to play the courtesy move if Domino's does rocket up, but that is on Thursday after the bell. Nonetheless, where do we go from here? I don't like I've always stated, when markets are very uncertain, I don't like to support a lot of watch lists. I know a lot of people like to play different watch lists going into it, but considering that what it looks like now compared to going into tomorrow, I do have some things that I'm looking at. But going into tomorrow, again, want to see how we do overnight. I don't think this sell-off was anything really bad. We've been flirting on the day. When you look on the daily, I didn't want this back below here on the 50, and it looks like we're hitting the trend, and we could have been possibly actually breaking down below this other upper piece of the trend line. Again, maybe we open up tomorrow and we gap back up to here. If you look at the Fibonacci retracement here, it looks like from close. This is probably actually, could fix this a little bit here. From close, and then we'll jump back on the 1 hour, so maybe see this a little bit better. So we still got, we're starting to bounce here in this zone. It's just a retest. I expected, we can't just go straight up, and I think that's what the misconception is that we're just going to go straight up from this point. But we needed some kind of pullback, and this is a good enough pullback retest. There was a more solid support here, and so that's what I'm thinking we're doing, is we're just retesting the support, and then we'll bounce right out of this come tomorrow. Again, FOMC meeting on Wednesday. With inflation and everything, it's hard to tell. We're going to get some of these wacky moves like this. Being said, this is why a lot of different patterns and stuff haven't been playing out, because inflation can, if the bond yields start increasing, tech just sell off for again what seems like to be no reason. And again, option expirations could play into it. I don't know. There's a lot of money going into expirations this week, so that's something else to keep in mind. But we don't really have a true catalyst that's going to sink us pretty hard, and we don't really have a true catalyst to really push us up. So we've been kind of playing this back and forth. Nonetheless, that's where we stand. So I want to see this back, see if we can get back over this tomorrow. As long as we hold essentially this 460 mark, I think we'll be okay. I think it's a pretty solid support here. And maybe we'll bounce right out of here. We needed to retest this. This was that hard channel that it took us for 3 tries to break. So I'm thinking it will be a good support. We pop tomorrow. Hopefully we can break back over this tomorrow and head back up. I think that's the true test tomorrow, is if we can, if we head back up, can we sustain that and keep pushing and try to heat some of these other Fibonacci levels, hopefully make an all-time high or a higher high here and get over the 44.30 mark tomorrow. Possibly would be great. So that's something we need to watch. There's a couple ones. Tesla, again, still holding strong. is it going to break 800? 800 is just a straight wall. I don't think it's going to break that. Earnings for Tesla, I believe, is next Wednesday. So being said, I don't think it's going to break there. I think it's going to stay in this channel until it does break. Did capture it this morning on the breakout, but and then since then it hits that 800 and it's done. We've seen this do this all the way up to this point, so it's definitely Tesla definitely hasn't been the Tesla of old. Once it joined the S&P, it has definitely been a lot more choppy and a lot more has these channels and consolidation a lot more. Also, they don't have as much news, right? Last year they had a lot of major news that really pushed them up. This year there's been delay of the truck. I don't think there was even talk about the car. I know they started talking about a phone possibly even too. But right now there's just not a lot because of the chip shortage. And so that's kind of playing on things, wreaking on havoc. So things aren't quite moving like they did last year. And again, every year is always going to be different. There's always going to be some form of catalyst either way. So the markets are always changing and you have to adapt. Being said, Apple, let's look at some of the dailies here. Apple did break the wedge, so there's nothing horribly bad about this. I mean, we're just retesting a lot of these. So I'm not really concerned about the selling today. Actually, Google looks really good. It looks like a retest of the trend. So I do really like Google. I actually have a position in Google going into earnings that covers earnings. So I'm looking for that play to play out. Facebook is actually looking really good. If we can land in that 323 mark and get something that covers earnings, that would be great. Again, I don't see bond yields going too much higher at the moment. Even a lot of the banks, the banking committees and stuff that have been talking, they too have called everything transitory, and I think a lot of people are in specific positions that are very short-term thinkers, and so I think that is what's causing the whole inflation scare. Yes, there's some things that are a bit inflated, but it's all again supply and demand. Once the ships and everything start getting corrected at some point, right? It's not going to last. I don't think that will last. Eventually, it'll catch up, and I think the inflation won't be as bad as it seems. But we have to get to that point. Microsoft still looks great on the daily. Square actually looks really good right here. Perfect entry right here. Tomorrow, if it does hold, I try to take a position early, and I essentially cut out of it. Tag me out. So I'm looking to re-enter here tomorrow. Roblox has just been getting blasted. I'm actually hoping it comes down. If it could come back down to like the 65, 60 mark, that'd be great, but we'll have to see. Snap, playing range, still, I mean, nothing looks, some of these FANG stocks do not look bad at all. PLTR, Planter is still holding the 200. I mean, that still looks good. For the most part, I mean, most of the stuff has already been beaten down. Some of it's actually starting to roll back over, which hopefully it holds at this point, because this next rollover, again, we don't have any true catalyst to really, the inflation stuff, we've seen this before. The ball is just batted back and forth, and it's more frustrating than it is anything else as far as like worrisome. So being said, UDP, I'm looking for a wedge break here actually, and see if it does break this and retest. Affirm is pretty high. It could actually come pretty far back down. If it does hit the 119 mark, would be nice. Nice retest. So I'll be looking for that. I do have alert set for that. Amazon. One thing about Amazon is it did break back below the 200. That 200 just been buttered. It hasn't held support or been much of a resistance at all. So, but this zone down here, this 3193 mark has been a pretty solid zone down here. So as long as it holds this zone, I think we're good. Shop, I did capture this again today. Had a nice little bounce today. Did capture that. Waiting for it to see if it comes back down to the 1300 mark and get another position there. So as long as it doesn't break these major supports, I think we're good. And again, I don't think there's a big enough catalyst right now to do that. SC still holding. A lot of it looks like it's wedging here too, so that's something to keep in mind. Net has just been a beast. Etsy kind of lost some footing. Wouldn't actually be surprised if this does come back down here to the 189 mark. TTD still holding very well here at the 200, so that's good to see. Thought about taking a position this a couple different times. There's other positions that I thought were possibly better, so I haven't taken anything on that. BA, I did have calls in this that I did swing. I did capture this move later in the day, and I ended up selling it because I didn't like the way the market was looking. I'm not a huge fan of BA, so I didn't really like staying in that position. So when I actually saw a profit, I just took it today. GS, it's breaking down, and this is one of the biggest things to watch with all this inflation talk is to see what is going on with the banks, and the banks are breaking down. So we could see a little bit more selling tomorrow and then pop back up. Again, we got earnings this week, so maybe that's the catalyst we're looking for. Again, no bonds, so that is it's one of the biggest things. AMD looks really good on this wedge break. I need to actually watch this tomorrow because this could be a good position as long as it doesn't break back below this 104 mark. I think we're good for AMD. Airbnb did a little bit more selling. Looks like a pretty hard retest here. Definitely want to see what the daily candle opens tomorrow. If you open above that 169 mark, it could be good. Now it's been selling pretty good. Overstock looks like a nice retest here. It just needs to hold, but we'll have to see. This also could be starting to wedge out here. We have to wait for the volatility to go away. Maybe we got one more week. Maybe we got 2 weeks before that happens. Leading up until Netflix next week, we got Netflix and Snap. They're going to be the two big techs next week to kind of start guiding us, and Tesla. So we got a couple of big ones next week. Moderna, this is one I've been watching really close. It's been holding this really well. I've actually almost considered a position in this, but considering the market really isn't holding the greatest, and I don't really like playing any kind of therapeutics or anything either, so I've been kind of holding off on that. AMC, it's actually consolidating very nice here, and as long as it holds this 35.60, I think it's still pretty good, and we might get another breakout here again, although we do have this trend, so we're probably looking at 48, so maybe a 10-point move is probably what we're looking at there. BYND, I tried to take a position in this morning. I barely missed my tag in, but it just hit that 104 mark and got rejected pretty hard anyway. Looks like it has this nice little zone here. I do like the consolidation here. Looking at that 99.50 mark for an entry, and then play range, and hopefully for a breakout. I don't really see this selling off unless the market completely corrects and crashes. I don't really see this breaking 100 from this point. Chipotle, it's coming down pretty good. Clove, I almost took a position in this today, but it just tomorrow, if this pulls back a little bit more, I'm kind of looking for that 775 mark. If you can hit that, I look for position in that. DraftKings got a nice price upgrade to 66 today, but still holding. Again, the market in general, just a lot of chop. But this is one I took today as well. I took Wing. I actually posted this on Twitter, so if you're not following me on Twitter, you can follow me at Twitter at Beta Memoirs. And this is when I was looking at as far as like inflation. This could also be an inflation hedge because Bitcoin actually started pushing today. It hit 58K today, and they got earnings on November 3rd. But this is the one I was talking about as far as a sympathy play. If Domino's really crushes it, Wings and Chipotle will get the sympathy off that. That's what happened during the last earnings. And Chipotle really crushed it. And as you see, it's barely sold off since, and Wings is sold off pretty good. So I think it's at a good point. There's a lot of good setup on the daily for Wings. You got this nice solid support here it's sitting on. Plus you got it wedging, and on the hourly, you can see it was breaking, plus the 200 EMA. There's a lot of different confirmations. I like multiple confirmations on a setup, and Wing has that. Again, if the yield rates start pushing and tech starts selling, Wing could start getting some steam and start pushing up. People will shift their money to something else in value, more than likely. And since Wing has that setup, I can possibly see that happening there. So if you've made it this far, this is a long video, but there was a lot of information today. There's a lot going on this week. A lot of different things going on. Again, mainly FOMC, minute notes, and then you also have, again, a lot of inflation data coming out on Wednesday. So I think the market's waiting on that. Plus, you got a lot of options expiring this week, so it could be playing in that. So again, no real news, just all assumptions of what possibly could be going on. Again, inflation is going to be hard to read because it's going to be a lot of wicks. So being said, if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. Till next time, I'll see you guys later.